How's it going, everyone? It is I, Anime Outlet, and this is part 2 of What If Deku was the son of Mount Lady. And now, before we begin, I would just like to ask you all to please put your what if suggestions down in the comments section below. And now, let's begin. Bakugo, well, yes, your quirk is really cool. I think my quirk's actually cooler. I can make anything bigger and smaller. In my own opinion, that's quite a bit cooler than just explosions. Bakugo would look on towards Izuku with an angry expression. How dare he talk back to him? However, Bakugo strangely just didn't care, as his ego hadn't grown to the massive size it was in the anime just yet. So as Bakugo ended up just shoving off Izuku, not really caring about whatever Izuku was going to say about his quirk, deep down Bakugo knew his quirk was way 1,000 times cooler than any just grow or shrink quirk. It was quite obvious, as Bakugo could just explode anything he wanted to. Oh, there's a villain, I'll just explode it. Someone's being mean to me, I'll explode it was just what the 4-year-old Bakugo was thinking. So as Izuku would go throughout the day with some kids asking Izuku just to show them what their quirk was, as Izuku would show those kids and exactly his quirk just happened to be shrinking an object that they would give to him before making it go all the way back up to its normal size. Izuku would continue doing this until the day would end, as his mother would end up picking him up from school. After this, Izuku would end up going home, as he would be sitting on the couch watching some cartoons about all these different heroes, as Izuku would have his All Might figure in hand and the Kamui Woods figure in the other. As Izuku would be sitting there staring intently at the TV screen, his mother would end up telling Izuku that she has to go work and that he's going to have to go. Izuku would wonder what she meant by heroing, as Mount Lady had kept it a secret from Izuku that she was a hero. She would end up saying, I'm just going out to be a local hero at my job, you know. Okay? Izuku would say strangely towards his mother. What did she mean by heroing? Well, who cares? I'm just gonna go back to watching cartoons, Izuku would think, staring back at the TV screen. As his mother Yu would end up leaving, as she would end up going out to fight and stop crime. As the hours would end up passing, as at 8:30 p.m., Izuku's stomach would start to rumble. He would stare down at it before grabbing his stomach before thinking, I'm hungry. I wonder what I should do, Izuku thought before he would stumble over to the pantry, where he would end up finding a bag of chips, Doritos, his favorite kind of chip, as Izuku would end up grabbing and opening the bag before starting to eat them, as he'd end up finishing it before it ended up going to bed. The next morning, Izuku would find that his mother was sound asleep. He would think to himself that she must have been out late to doing hero work, and so Izuku, not bothered by this, would end up getting changed into his school clothes before running off, and this was pretty much how Izuku's life would go for the next 6 years. As his age would strike 10, Izuku would have walked to school so many times. As the walk to school was just about 1.5 miles, Izuku's legs were insanely strong for his age. No one in his school could even imagine having to walk, or if Izuku was late, run 1.5 miles every single day. And this only got worse when Izuku went into elementary school, and the distance turned into 2 miles. Izuku would continue on doing this every single day, there and back, effectively running 3 miles when he was in preschool and 4 miles when he was in elementary school every single day. This was basically the first form of training Izuku got used to, and this walking and sometimes running got Izuku's strength in his legs and stamina insanely high for his age. Izuku would end up being one of the school's best runners, even being on the track team, where Izuku would end up doing a bunch of other things, and while on that track team, he would learn how to train in the gym, where Izuku would actually find an escape from his life with basically absent of parents. Izuku's mom basically was like a nurse, however, she was a hero. When Izuku would wake up, she would be sleeping, as she had to sleep until around 12 p.m., where she would wake up and then do tons of hero work until 12 a.m. So 12 hours of hero work, sleep for 12 hours pretty much. It was an excruciating level of just stress on his mother, and she couldn't deal with just taking care of Izuku. This led to Izuku being extremely independent as a very young child, learning how to cook for himself and even fend for himself when people would start shoving him around. Izuku would learn to fend for himself, dealing with his own problems. As enough, Izuku knew his mother wasn't going to be of any help to him. She wasn't going to help him. She had already too much stuff to deal with in the hero world. Yet Izuku didn't know this. He still thought she worked an insanely corporate life, and that's why he made so much money. Well, except the reason she made so much money was because of hero work and some other things on the internet. Izuku was still far too young to learn what she was doing, though. So, as this would continue, Izuku would continue getting stronger, working out day by day. As Bakugo would end up realizing how much stronger Izuku was getting, he would start to work out as well, as a rivalry would end up beginning between Izuku and Bakugo. As Bakugo's ego was still huge, but it was very minor compared to what it was in the anime and canon My Hero Academia. So, with a big-headed Bakugo and Izuku, they would start to train together, each time trying to one-up each other in what weight they could lift or how many reps they could do. As this would be happening, Izuku would end up walking out of the gym one day before walking over towards the school playground after getting out of the school gym. Izuku would start swinging on the swings, just quite bored, as he had the 2-mile walk to begin with, and Izuku just wanted to rest up before having to walk such a far distance. So as Izuku was swinging on the swings, all of a sudden he would end up seeing a just high schooler push down a young blue-haired girl. Izuku would stare on towards this, just watching from the corner of his eye, making sure that it didn't look like he was staring or anything. As Izuku would continue watching, the high schooler would stand over the young girl before demanding that she should give him her money. As the high schooler would say, "Come on, just give me your money already. Then I won't have to do anything or forcefully take it from you. You know, I need to make a little cash on the side, and I just happened to find you. So why don't you go ahead and give me that money before things turn a little physical?" The girl would try to push the boy off of her, however, he was far too strong and big for her to push off. As the boy would continue standing over the girl, all of a sudden Izuku would get off of the swings before walking over towards the boy. As Izuku would end up walking over towards him, Izuku would end up turning his entire hand into wood, making his hand completely solid. As Izuku would walk up to him, the high schooler would turn towards Izuku. You brat have anything to say to me? Or else why don't you go scram off? I'm busy, you see," the boy would say. However, Izuku could only shake his head, completely speechless, winding back his fist before punching the boy right across the cheek. As the boy would end up falling to the ground, completely having lost consciousness, as all of a sudden his eyes would awaken, he would stand up, just holding his cheek in pain. "How dare you?" he would say, getting up before throwing a punch, which Izuku would dodge, causing the boy to lose some of his balance, where Izuku would then push the boy to the ground. "Come on, stop being a bully. You're an older, and I'm already more wise than you. You should really learn to wise up, you know," Izuku would say down to the boy, who was now covered in dirt and mud from the playground. The boy would end up getting up before sharply looking towards Izuku. "This isn't the last time you'll see from me, boy," the kid would say before rushing off. Izuku would walk over towards the blue-haired girl before putting his hand down to her. "Hello," he would say. "I'm Izuku Takayama," he would say. "Oh, I'm Nejire Haro," she would say, taking Izuku's hand, as he would then pull her up. "So, what got you into this situation?" Izuku would ask. "Oh, I was just playing on the playground when that kid came to me and pushed me down, demanding I give him my money. Huh. That's quite odd from a kid who's so young, Zuko would say. Well, nonetheless, he's gone now, so that's a little bit better, Zuko would say, smiling as the girl would then smile too, feeling a sense of warmth in Zuko's smile. Although she couldn't quite put a finger on it, they were still quite young. As the years would end up ticking by, Izuku would end up getting stronger and stronger, and so would Bakugo. As Izuku, Bakugo, and Drehado would end up turning into sort of a friend group where they would just be friends together and train together, as all of them had hopes to being a hero. As in this Whatif, Drehado is aged down to be the same age as Izuku, and Mount Lady and Kamui Woods are both aged up so that they can be the parents of Izuku. So as Izuku ended up training with them day after day and night after night, they would continue training as Izuku and all of them would be sitting in class one day bored out of their mind. All of them just staring up at the board, waiting for something interesting to happen. It was the last day of school and all of them just wanted it to be over already. So as they were sitting there, Izuku would have his fist on his cheek, just completely staring blankly at the board with a complete emotionless face. Good morning, class! Welcome to your last day of school here. Now, I know all of you want to be heroes, of course, so these high school application forms, we don't really need them now, do we? The teacher would say, throwing them up into the air, which Izuku, Bakugo, and Nejirai would all look at the teacher before he would end up laughing, clamping down 3 papers in between his hands. Well, of course, 3 of our students are going to UA, those being Izuku, Nejirai, and Bakugo. Congratulations to you 3 going to try out for such a prestigious school. I wish you all luck. As the bell would ring, the teacher would look to it before saying, well, that's the bell. Good luck, everyone, with your endeavors from here until your death, the teacher would say. As all of the students would end up walking out of the classroom, Izuku, Bakugo, and Nejirai would continue walking before they would end up splitting up in just 2 different paths to go back to their house. Izuku would end up walking back to his house as he would end up going under an overpass, where all of the sun's rattling could be heard. Izuku would look behind him before he would end up seeing a massive sludge villain shoot out of a sewer. As Izuku, seeing this, he would stare on in shock before the sludge villain would start rapidly coming towards him. As Izuku would hear the slimy sludge trickling across the ground as it was coming increasingly closer towards him. Izuku, seeing this, all of a sudden 2 eyes would pop out of the sewer before they would start to face Izuku. What the hell? Izuku would say as the sludge villain would rush towards him. Izuku would turn his entire hand into wood before sending massive branches off towards the sludge villain. As they would wrap around the sludge villain's eyes, Izuku would pull them out. As the sludge villain would start screaming in pain, starting to squirm on the ground, before the sludge would then turn into a watery consistency before dissipating back into the sewer. Izuku would drop both of these eyes before stepping on it, rubbing them into the dirt, before walking off. All Might, seeing all of the sludge come back into the sewer, would end up jumping out to see the eyes smashed into the ground. He would stare at them before wondering, who could have done this? I lost his sights in just a minute. How could he have been killed so easily already? Anyway, I guess I'll just collect this, making sure he's not alive anymore. And I'll throw him in jail, or at least what's left of him, All Might would answer to himself before rushing off. Izuku would make it back to his home as 10 months would pass of the 3 training day in and day out. As finally, we now see all of them standing just right in front of the UA school building. Well, guys, this is it. I wish you all luck, Izuku would say, standing between both of them, as they would then take a step into the UA building, walking into the auditorium as the written exam was first. Izuku, Nejirai, and Bakugo, both studying together too, had become quite smart over the years as well, so they would fly through this test and pass it with flying colors, as it was quite easy for all 3 of them. However, the hero exam wouldn't be as easy, as they would all be standing in their respected hallways, having been split up since they all came from the same school. Izuku would be stretching as the doors would end up opening. Rushing out, Izuku would smash tons of robots, all as he could with his wood arms, before he would end up punching many more of these robots with more wooden arms. However, Izuku had made it into the recommendations test, as Izuku had been the son of 2 pro heroes. So that means the 0-pointer would be released sooner than it had in canon, as Izuku would end up just feeling rumbling. He would end up looking up to see a massive 0-pointer towering over him, or having its hand reach down towards Izuku, about to start a barrage of attacks. And that is where part 2 of What If Deku Was the Son of Mount Lady is going to be left off. I hope you all did enjoy it, and if you did, please consider subscribing, as it really does help this channel out, and you can even be notified when the other parts of this series do end up coming out. I thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye.